Good morning. For those of you who don't know, my name is Barry Mitchell. I'm with my business partner Conrad Greensmith. We own and run AC Pressure Washers Limited. Now Conrad's away on a well-deserved holiday at the moment. So while it's nice and quiet, I decided to make a video regarding the pressure washer boiler. This is a generic boiler from Italy. Comes with a fan motor, fan attached, fuel pump, 2 electrodes and a spark transformer. It doesn't come with any equipment designed to run it. Apart from, it comes with a photocell, which we'll incorporate into it. It doesn't come with a pressure switch, a flow switch, or a thermostat. Now it's difficult to show the sequence of events from pulling the trigger on your gun to the pressure switch closing, the flow switch closing, the thermostat closing and the photocell recognising a flame using the PCBs that come with the boiler. Now this is a Mazzoni PCB. As you can see, it's plug and play, it's full of heatsink. There's not a lot to look at. So we decided to make our own little control system using little timer relays, photocell relays, etc. So you can see each action in real time. Well, there it is. It's a little bit rough and ready, but we'll tidy it up later. Let's turn it on. Right, now this is the main timer relay for the board. When the contacts close on this relay, it supplies power to this relay, which is the fan motor relay. A couple of seconds later, it will supply power to the spark transformer relay, and the fuel solenoid relay and the photocell relay. Should it need it, supply power to this relay, which will then close this relay, cutting power off to the board completely, lighting up this flame failure light, and you press this button to reset it. So now it's waiting for a signal, and the signal comes when you pull the trigger on your gun, sending a voltage through the flow switch, the pressure switch and the thermostat into the trigger on this relay. Now when the contacts close and supplying power to this relay, which is the fan motor relay, it takes a couple of seconds for the fan motor to get up to speed, pushing the required volume of air through the boiler and getting the fuel pump pumping fuel at the right pressure to create a nice clean burn. A couple of seconds later, the spark transformer kicks in. Now we stagger these because they both draw a lot of amps, and we don't want them drawing at the same time, so we stagger them a couple of seconds. So when the spark transformer relay closes, sending power to the spark transformer, which puts power to the electrodes, which creates the spark. So now you've got the fan motor pushing the required volume of air through the boiler, pumping the fuel pump at the right pressure, and you've got the spark. And a couple of seconds later, the fuel solenoid will open and fuel will be introduced into the boiler at the correct pressure, and it should ignite instantly. Now if for some reason the spark transformer fails and it's not creating a spark, then fuel is still being pumped into the boiler. We've had boilers here that have been half full of fuel. For that reason, we think it's mandatory to have a photocell. And the photocell is the flame failure. So if the photocell doesn't recognise a flame, after 6 seconds, it will cut all the power to the board and put this light on, which is the flame failure light. So let's just try it. Now I've replaced the signal created by pulling the trigger on your gun through the pressure switch, flow switch and thermostat with this little button. And when we mount this back onto a boiler, we'll replace this button with the flow switch, the pressure switch and the thermostat. But for now, while it's on the bench, we just use this button. So press the button, fan motor, spark transformer, fuel's introduced, and you've got a burn. If for some reason the spark transformer's not working, fuel's being pumped into the boiler, there's no flame, the photocell won't recognise a flame. After 6 seconds, turns the whole thing off, puts the flame failure light, press that button to reset it. Now when you first pull the trigger, all this happens in sequence and you get a burn. You're on and off the trigger all the time, so when you let go of the trigger, this counter will start to count. The fan motor is still running, the spark transformer is still creating a spark. So any time up to 30 seconds, which is what I've set it at, you can press the trigger again, it will be an instant burn because everything's up to speed. Because when you first press it, it has to go through the sequence, so it will only burn after about 6 or 7 seconds. But when everything's up and running, as soon as you push that trigger again, it will be an instant burn, as long as you do it within the 30 seconds. So what I'll do, we'll try that out. Fan motor, spark transformer, fuel. So let go of the trigger, no fuel, but the fan motor still running, the spark transformer still running, and the timer already started to count. And when it gets up to 30 seconds, if there's no other input, if we don't pull the trigger, which will reset the timer, it will go back into standby mode. And you'll have to go through the whole procedure again. It's 6 or 7 seconds, it's not a long time, but it's a bit of a pain when you run off the trigger. Press the trigger, fan motor, spark transformer, fuel's introduced. Cover the photocell up, no flame. Close the whole thing off. Put some flame failure light on. Press the reset button. And off you go again. Now this flame failure light comes on, you reset it and it doesn't put the spark transformer on in time for some reason, I don't know, if it's bad contact or whatever. If you try it again and it does it, the flame failure light will recognise a flame and it won't knock the system off. You can see just by waving my hand over it, but it takes 6 seconds. So I'll put my finger over it now and let go after 3 seconds, nothing happens. So it's got 6 seconds to recognise a flame. Now this is designed just to show you the processes that you need to go through to get a burn out of your boiler. Now this board replaces this one, which is Mazzoni. So all the things that are happening on this board happen in this PCB in the same sequence, or roughly the same sequence. It's a demonstration tool. It's not designed for you to reproduce a circuit board. It wouldn't be certified and you'd have to need a qualified electrical engineer to do all this for you. But we will do subsequent videos showing you each relay, its relationship to the next relay, how to wire it up and the whole configuration. Right, I think it's time to put it in a box and mount it to a boiler and see how we get on. Well, there it is, we've mounted it on a boiler. It looks a bit like a snake's wedding, like I said, it's a bit untidy. Put an indicator light showing each action. You've got your pressure switch kicking in, your flow switch. These will kick in almost instantaneously, one after the other. You'll not see a gap between them, they'll just light up both at once. The thermostat will only come on when you turn the thermostat on, but all three will light up together once the thermostat's turned on. The thermostat also turns the power on, and when you pull the trigger, the fan motor will kick in. 2 seconds later, the spark transformer. 2 seconds later, the fuel will be introduced. If there's a spark, it will ignite the boiler. If there's no spark or no fuel going in, the flame failure light will come on. They'll knock the whole thing off and you'll have to press reset. So we drop the fuel lines into just a drum of diesel. There's a mandatory emergency stop on the side just in case. We could have done with a blow-off valve on, but just to mount it for now it's not worth doing, to be fair. We'll just keep an eye on it, but we will mount it on later. Connected it to a battery. There's the thermostat underneath, and that's all we need. And when we do each individual video showing each relay and how they're wired up, we'll put it in a much bigger box, and we'll put these lights around the side and bring all the relays to the front so you can see what's going on. Alright, well let's have a go then. Right, we connected it to a little pressure washer behind us. It's on a total stop, so when I let go of the trigger it will stop. So when I pull the trigger, the pressure switch will light up immediately and the flow switch will light up with it. There is a slight delay in them, but not quick enough for you to see. So we'll go through the pressure switch. The pressure switch will knock the fan on, creating an airflow through the boiler and pressuring the diesel pump up. It's getting the right amount of fuel at the right pressure in the boiler. So you'll see that happen just with these lights. So you've got the pressure switch, kick the fan in. The flow switch is connected from the pressure switch to the thermostat. It runs through the thermostat to a relay which opens the fuel solenoid. So you'll see that in real time. If the thermostat's not switched on, then that light won't light up and you won't get a flame. Your fuel light won't light on. So the thermostat's on, we'll switch it on. It's now in standby mode. We'll turn the thermostat around so that's on as well. So now when I pull the trigger, all these lights should light up immediately. The fan motor should kick in immediately. Once that's up to speed, the spark transformer the light should come on, so the spark transformer's working. A few seconds later, when everything's up and running, it's getting the right amount of fuel in the boiler at the right pressure. It's getting the right amount of air, the right volume going through the boiler. Then the fuel will be introduced and it will ignite straight away. So let's just give it a go. So now we're in standby mode. So we'll pull the trigger. These three lights on, fan motors on, spark transformer, fuel, you can hear the boiler kick in. Now when I let go, because the fan motor and the spark transformer are already running on a 30-second rolling timer, the fuel will be introduced immediately that I pull the trigger. If I turn the thermostat down so it's off, the thermostat won't light up, so the fuel won't be introduced. Turn the thermostat on, fuel is immediately introduced. The mandatory emergency stop button, just kick that, everything's off. And when you let go of it, it would immediately go into standby mode as long as it's switched on. So we'll switch it off, so start it again. Switch it on, it's in standby mode. Turn the thermostat knob round to the required temperature. So now when I pull the trigger, pressure switch, flow switch, thermostat will all come on in one sequence. There's a voltage going through each one to the fan motor, then to the spark transformer, and then to the fuel. So try it. Fuel's on. If I pull the cable off the fuel solenoid, so there's now no fuel going in, it should come up flame failure. It will knock everything off and we'll have to press the reset button. So if the thermostat light doesn't come on, it's either up to temperature or there's an issue with the thermostat. If these two lights don't come on, the flow switch and the thermostat, it will be the flow switch. You have an issue with the flow switch. If this light doesn't come on, you've got an issue with the pressure switch, or it's something to do with the wiring. So you can now see in real time just how the boiler works. So when you pull the trigger, you've got the pressure switch, flow switch and thermostat, then the fan motor, then the spark transformer, then it introduces fuel. If there's no flame, the flame failure light will come on, as the photocell will not recognise the flame, throws this light on, press the reset and you're back in standby mode. It's not meant for you to recreate it unless you get an experienced, qualified industrial electrician to do it for you. Now the timer's just timed off, so everything's switched off. And it's now in standby mode. For the whole relay set, including the main boiler relay, the main fan motor relay, works out at about £30. And each relay that you have to replace, if the fan motor relay goes, if the main timer relay goes, if the spark transformer relay goes, if the photocell relay goes, the fuel relay goes, it'll cost you no more than £6 or £7 for each one. Well, like I said, it's only designed to show you how the boiler works in real time. I think we can call that a success. I'm going for my tea. some rags on that. You get some rags on that, you muppet.